Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back for another episode of The Breakdown here on the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network. This is Max Friedman, your co-host, trademark MMA on Twitter. I got my man, Big Marcel Dorf, coming at you from Holland, all the way on the other side of the world. Big Marcel, how excited are you that this weekend's fight card is not in the wee hours of the morning for you, that it's actually at a normal time? How excited are you?
It's kind of split about it. I like it because it's not. I can watch it without sleepy eyes. And on the other side, I like to watch it with a friend or alone. That I can relax. And now people all over the house are walking here and asking questions and that kind of stuff. And that bothers me always when I watch fights. So 50-50 on it, man. I don't mind to watch so late. It's okay. But yeah.
Don't annoy Big Marcel while he's watching the UFC. Everybody should take note. But anyway, we're here. Breakdown UFC Prague, UFC Fight Night 145 coming at you Saturday, February 23rd from the O2 Arena in the Prague, Czech Republic. This will be broadcast on ESPN Plus here in the United States. Before we forget, other shows on the Loudmouth MMA Network. Be sure to check those out and subscribe. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you find it. The Not Safe for Work MMA show, the great Fred Kirby and Kyle Steele. Those guys are hilarious. Don't want to miss those. MMA Yesterday, Kyle Steele and Keith Schillen going back, looking at some of the old UFCs. Really fun to listen to for those who are old-time fans of the sport. The DFS Express for you daily fantasy users out there. Got some interviews, fight companions, and my personal favorite, Around the Cage, hosted by the great Davidson Baker of Fansided MMA. Yours truly was on last week. Had a lot of fun on there, and Big Marcel was on a couple weeks back too. So just like MMA, ESPN's Around the Horn, we got MMA's version of Around the Cage. Big Marcel, how pumped are you for this card? You ready to get started, get into it?
Yeah, sure, man. Let's go. I always pump for fights. You know it.
I come to this podcast every week, and Big Marcel has a smile on his face like a kid on Christmas Day. He's always excited to talk about the UFC. All right, well, before we get started into the fights, just want to take a look at the standings from last week. I went 9-3, hit on the underdog as well, bringing my total to 35-15 for the year. Big Marcel, a last-minute fight of the year candidate comeback from Vicente Luque, turned your record into 7-5 for the night, 29-21. On the flip side, we both hit on our underdog pick, Nick Lentz and Emily Whitmire, both getting it done there. But nonetheless, you ready for another week? You actually going to beat me this week or what? Are you're just going to let me keep rolling all over you?
Oh, we're gonna go like that. Yeah, let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens. Let's see what you say in 2 months.
Long way to go in 2019. That's for sure.
I'm always a slow starter, man. Always a slow starter.
All right. Well, kicking things off on the prelims, we got a fight broken by none other than MMA DNA's yours truly, Big Marcel Dorf. Damir Ismagulov, a -260 favorite against the Spaniard UFC debutant Joel Alvarez, a +200 underdog. And Big Marcel, since you broke this fight yourself to the Twitter world and to the MMA community, what do you say? How does this one go?
Yeah, man, let's start with the newcomer, Joel Alvarez. He has a 15-1 overall record. Hasn't lost in like 4 years, 3-4 years. Very well-known guy in Spain. Great on the ground, very good submission game. Was the AFL champion over there. Beat Radu Maxim in his last fight. Overall, very solid on the ground. Then you have Damir Ismagulov, M1 Global guy, who went to the UFC late 2018. Defeated Alex Gorgees in Melbourne by a unanimous decision, pretty dominant unanimous decision. Was the champion of M1 before. This I have to go with Damir here, despite Joel going very good in his career. I mean, this is definitely a step up for him, and Damir, I see Damir cracking the top 15 soon, probably. So Gonna go with Damir probably by TKO in the second round. I have the man from Kazakhstan winning.
Yeah, starting with the newcomer Alvarez, 15-1, and while Spain, not known for being an MMA hotbed, this guy's won 10 straight. I mean, in 7 straight finishes. You can't ignore it. He deserves to be in the big show. Good signing by the UFC, and I'm excited to see what he does down the road. Very tall order in his UFC debut, though. Ismagulov was a really high-profile signing when he came in. Many expected him to get a finish in his UFC debut, but he didn't. That Alex Gorgi's fight that you mentioned, but Alvarez just hasn't fought someone at the level of Damir Ismagulov yet. I'm going to take the Kazakh fighter Ismagulov by a unanimous decision in that one.
Then I have a question for you, Max.
Oh, let's hear it.
The nickname of Joel Alvarez is Fenomeno. The other UFC fighter was Fenomeno. Nickname, who is it?
Oh, man. I feel like it's a heavyweight. It's like a Brazilian heavyweight or something. No, not even close.
The person is top 5, I think, yeah.
Oh, man. He's top 5 now?
Yeah, current top 5.
Current top 5? What weight class?
Women's bantamweight.
Is that Ketlin Vieira?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of cheated by asking the weight class, but man, I was thinking like Marcio Cruz, but he's Pede Pano. I thought somebody, like an old time like Brazilian heavyweight, maybe Marcelo Golm or something like that. I don't know where I got that from. All right. Well, moving on, we're sticking around in the lightweight division. Really interesting fight here is the evening sophomore bout. Rustam Khabilov taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira. Khabilov, a -140 favorite. Ferreira, come back on him, +110. Man, these two guys are kind of lingering just outside the top 15. I mean, Khabilov has quietly put together a 6-fight win streak, all of which are decisions. Diego Ferreira, 3-fight win streak, back-to-back finishes since coming off that suspension, now training alongside a lot of those great talents at Fortis MMA in Dallas. Interesting fight. See how this one plays out. Big Marcel, what do you got?
Yeah, Rustam Khabilov, like you said, solid overall. Gotta say, in his last 2 fights, his fight against Des Green here in Rotterdam, that was a close fight. He got a unanimous decision, but that could have been to Des Green as well, I think. And also in his last fight against Cajun Johnson, I really had the feeling that Cajun did enough to win this fight. So that's it. Carlos Diego Ferreira, great fighter as well, very skilled on the ground. You saw what he did against Olivier Aubin-Mercier a few years ago. Then he was he injured or suspended? I can't remember anymore.
Suspended.
Yeah, suspended. And after that, he came back very strong against Jared Gordon, and in this most recent fight against Kyle Nelson, right? Yes. And I feel Diego Ferreira is going to get it here, man. I don't know why. I think he looks stronger in his latest outings. And Khabilov, not really impressed lately with him. What you said, many decisions, but not very dominant decisions, in my opinion. It was just 50-50 sometimes. And Diego Ferreira has the ground game to give him problems, and also has that knockout power in his hands. So I'm over here, Carlos Diego Ferreira by a TKO win in the second round.
Wow, Colin Khabilov getting finished there. Big alert here on coming at you from Big Marcel. I agree with a lot of what you said. Khabilov, he's got 6 straight wins, but they're all decisions, and some of them are controversial. Diego Ferreira has really looked good mixing up his striking on the feet, and then, as you mentioned, that ground game is one of the best in the division. Those guys at Fortis MMA are finding a way to win no matter what. Diego Ferreira gets it done here. I'm going to take a decision, maybe a unanimous decision or a split decision, but he walks away with his hand raised, snapping Khabilov's win streak. All right, we move up to 170 pounds for this next one. Michel Prazeres Tractor taking on the UFC newcomer Ismail Nardiv. I believe I said that right. Nardiv?
I always say I say Nordiev always.
Nardiev. Okay. I heard two different pronunciations online. I wasn't sure which one it was. Nonetheless, Nardiev making his UFC debut. He's replacing LoudMouthMMA, 17-2 overall, only 22 years old. His most recent loss, he's coming off 2 wins, but his most recent loss was to Ismael Marmota from The Ultimate Fighter Brazil Season 3. Prazeres, though, man, how much of a monster has he looked like? He's won 8 straight, and he's probably just outside the top 15 at 170 pounds. Coming off that absolute destruction of Bartosz Fabinski, I don't see Prazeres losing here. I think he cruises to another win and gets a submission. But Big Marcel, what's your take?
Oh man, this is going to be boring because I agree with you. I mean, Ismail Nordiev, he's a pretty big prospect coming from Austria with the Chechen background. Prazeres, well, maybe one of the most underrated fighters in the division. I think he got that problems with those weight cuts in the lightweight, but he's doing very well at welterweight. He kind of destroyed Bartosz Fabinski last time out. I didn't sell that coming in that way. Yeah, man, I got to go with Prazeres here by a submission. Let's go all in, north-south choke in the second round.
Yeah, he does that north-south choke really well. And important to note, I missed on the call here, but a 4-1 favorite, Michel Prazeres, minus 410, comeback on the newcomer, plus 315 for the Austrian Wonder Boy. I do like that nickname, though. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. And like you said, pretty high-profile signing here. All right, well, we head back down to lightweight for this next one. And folks, this is a fight of the night candidate on paper, at least. Damir Hadzovic taking on Marco Polo Reyes. Reyes has had some really strong performances in the UFC. And, you know, he bested Cesar Goku, Donghyun Ma, and most recently Matt Frivola last January. A really crisp technical striker is the Mexican fighter Polo Reyes. Hadzovic, though, Bosnian bomber, he hits hard too. I mean, he's come up big. Came up big his last time out against Nick Hein, 2-2 overall in the UFC. And I've actually been up close to Damir Hadzovic. He came to my jiu-jitsu gym last year. This man is huge for 155 pounds. Big Marcel, how do you see this one playing out? Do you think it's a fight of the night candidate?
It definitely is, man. Both guys always bring it, always bring the fireworks. Marco Polo Reyes, I think he only lost to James Vick in the UFC. Overall, very fun to watch. Knocked out Matt Frivola. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect Matt Frivola to trade punches with him like that. So if it goes to the ground, this fight, I don't think it will. But then maybe Hadzovic has kind of an advantage here. But Hadzovic is always a guy who wants to keep it standing. So Hadzovic only looked kind of against Alan Patrick, which is one of the most difficult guys to fight because his ground game is such good. So yeah, very tough fight to call. And those 50-50 fights, you know it yourself, man. Those are
close betting line here too. Before I forget, Marco Polo Reyes a slight favorite at minus 150. Comeback on Hadzovic plus 120.
Yeah, very close, man. Indeed, going with Marco Polo Reyes, but very close, man. I don't think we're going to see a finish here. I go Polo Reyes by split decision.
Man, we got to figure something out here because I see it going in favor of Polo Reyes as well via KO in the second round. But I think that first round is going to be fun to watch. Expect some fireworks on the feet. Both guys like to bring it.
Everything the same.
Yeah, I know, and I don't know if it's gonna change at all moving up this card. I do have a feeling on one of the upcoming fights we are gonna differ, but we'll see on that one. All right, we go down to 125 pounds for the women. Jillian Robertson is a minus 165 favorite. She takes on Veronica Macedo, a plus 135 underdog. Robertson 2-1 in the UFC, really 2 strong performances in her first 2 outings, submission wins, but stumbled her last time out, coming off a loss here. Macedo is 0-2 in the UFC, desperately needs a win here. Granted, her losses are to Andrea Lee and Ashley Evans-Smith, who ironically enough fought last weekend. Robertson really liked the work she's done alongside Dean Thomas at American Top Team. I think she has one of the most well-rounded grappling games in all of the division. I think Robertson gets it done with a submission here. Big Marcel, how does this fight play out?
This is a pretty easy pick for me here. I mean, Gillian Robertson has looked pretty amazing in the octagon. She has won, last fight was against Mara Bueno, the last, but she did look good in that fight as well until she got submitted. Veronica Macedo, two very underwhelming performances, I think. Not very good on the ground, in my opinion, which is Robertson is good on the ground. Macedo has one submission win against Karine Gevorgian, who is also not good on the ground. So it's a pretty bad matchup for Macedo again. I think she will be cut after this one. I don't hope so. I never hope for a fighter to get cut because I always feel bad if someone says like she should get cut or he should get cut. I mean, you're talking about people's jobs, man. You shouldn't do that. I think that's something that bothers me all the time on Twitter, for example. If somebody says like, yeah, I hope this person gets cut. Why you hope that, man? But probably gonna happen, man. I see a first round submission, Gillian Robertson, probably by an armbar early in the first round. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree with everything you say. It's their livelihood. You never want to see that. I mean, yes, it is a competitive. It's the ultimate mecca of the sport, and it's competitive to even keep a roster spot. But by all means, you never want to wish someone lose their job. Veronica Macedo, tough customer though. She definitely comes to fight when she's in there. Robertson, though, I agree has the advantage here. She's going to get it done with a submission in the second round. I'll say rear naked choke.
Nice. Can I add something?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm super surprised by Veronica Macedo going to train in the Netherlands, man. She's training with, I don't know right now, but she has trained with Melvin Manhoef over here. And I'm like, you're pretty good in striking, but your submission game is kind of lacking. You're going to train with Melvin Manhoef. It's kind of weird, right? Screen is freeze. Did you hear me?
There. You said she is training in the Netherlands, and then it completely froze, so we didn't hear who it was.
Okay, I said she was training. She was.
All right, we seem to have lost Big Marcel. For move on to the next fight. We go down to 140. Fishgold taking on Daniel Tamor versus Sweden here in this next one. Fishgold, the -260 favorite, comeback on Daniel Tamor as my co-host is back online. Yeah, we'll give you a chance to tell us about that. The Netherlands training of Veronica Macedo. We won't forget. Don't worry.
Okay.
But nonetheless, Sweden's Tamor, another guy, desperate need of a win here. 0-2 in the UFC, and he is a big underdog in this one. +200. The comeback on the Cage Warriors champion Fishgold is -260. Had a rough go in his UFC debut. Was TKO'd by Calvin Kattar, but a strong showing early. A really big signing for the UFC in 2018. To me, this is a really good matchup for him, and I think he's going to get those octagon jitters out of the way and get it done with a submission. Big Marcel, Daniel Tamor, the older brother of David Tamor, 0-2 in the UFC, backs against the wall. What happens in this fight?
Chris Fishgold is going to win this fight. I'm sorry, man. We're again the same pick here. I think Fishgold didn't look that bad against Calvin Kattar until like 20 seconds before he got finished. Daniel Tamor had a good first fight against Danny Henry, which was fight of the night in Scotland. He lost that fight, and then he got pretty much outclassed by Julio Arce in Utica. Chris Fishgold, unanimous decision in a hard-fought fight. But yeah, I don't see Tamor winning this one.
All right. So before we head back up to 170 pounds, Big Marcel, the people got to know, who was Veronica Macedo training with?
She was here in the Netherlands a few months ago. She was training with Melvin Manhoef.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, listen, nothing against Melvin Manhoef, against Veronica Macedo, but if your ground game is kind of not that good, why are you going to train with Melvin Manhoef? I mean, he is mostly a stand-up guy. He never won a fight by submission.
No.
That's kind of weird, you know. If you want to train in the Netherlands, a good gym for your ground game, you have to go to Kop's gym in Amsterdam, where Musashi trains as well, for example, you know. But
yeah, you'd think for an opponent like Robertson, one who is a really experienced grappler who has 2 wins in the UFC via submission, you got to think that's the attack coming at you.
True. Yeah, but I don't know if she trained this time over here. I know she also trained at Extreme Couture, so that's much better, I think. But yeah,
cool.
Who am I?
All right. Well, we finally got that out of the way after a couple mishaps, but interesting tidbit there. Thank you for sharing. We go up to 170 pounds, welterweight showcase here. The Italian Carlo Pedersoli, the -130 favorite against American Kickboxing Academy's Dwight Grant, a +100 underdog, so an even money pick there. 33 years old as Dwight Grant, come to the UFC via the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, but lost his UFC debut in Milwaukee to the hometown favorite Zach Otto. Meanwhile, Italy's Pedersoli, 1-1 in the UFC, got that decision win over Brad Scott, but finished quickly in his last outing in Brazil against Cowboy Oliveira. Big Marcel, we see AKA's Grant get back on track, or is Italy's Pedersoli the one walking away with his hand raised?
I think this is the one where we're going to have a first difference, I have the feeling. Dwight Grant, I'm just going to say it, I don't say it often. Dwight Grant got robbed in his last fight from a win. That's my opinion. He won that fight, but he didn't get the victory because it was a home crowd decision. He did look great in that Zach Otto fight, in my opinion. I don't know how you think about it, but Carlo Pedersoli, like you said, good debut against Brad Scott on short notice, and then fall through against Alex Oliveira, first round knockout, also short notice. 2 short notice fights, actually. Carlo Pedersoli, he's actually the nephew of Bud Spencer, the movie.
Yeah. From a lineage there, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going with Pedersoli here, man. I think he will get the decision win, but it will be a difficult one because I think Dwight Grant can easily get him to the ground, I think, and can do his thing over there. So tough pick here, but going for Pedersoli with a very, very 50-50 mind game in this one. So, yeah, I think we have this one different for some reason.
You know me too well, man. Yeah, this was a tough pick. I've kind of gone back and forth on this. I think Pedersoli is the more well-rounded guy right now, but Dwight Grant is a better finisher. And I think in this fight, and I agree with you, I think he got robbed. He has a better chance to finish this fight and land those big bombs. Seems like he's been in fight camp forever though, because he did try to replace who was it, Randy Brown at that fight card in Brooklyn, and then now he comes right back into camp and takes on Pedersoli, and his fight against Zach Otto was in the middle of December, so not too long ago. I'll take Grant here via a TKO in the 3rd round. So here we go. First difference. But I do like Pedersoli, and shout out to my man Alfredo Zulino at Frey on Twitter. Really good coverage of the Italian MMA circuit. Knows a lot about Carlo Pedersoli. Has covered his career as well. So feel free to chat him up on Twitter. He will definitely engage with you. That's PHRE at Frey on Twitter. Really a strong MMA mind when it comes to the Italy circuit, and pretty much for the whole sport for that matter.
I didn't even think about it, but now I'm happy I chose Pedersoli because you're gonna get your ass kicked, man, by him. Picking Dwight Grant, so I'm happy.
All right. Well, we got another interesting fight at 205 pounds here on deck. The Russian Magomed Ankalaev taking on the UFC newcomer Klidson Abreu Farias. I hope I said that right. That's how it was off of clip. Ankalaev is 10-1 overall, 1-1 in the UFC, coming off a really strong finish over Marcin Prokhnio, still only 26 years old. His opponent, also 26, Farias, makes his UFC debut, replacing the injured Darko Stosic. Now, a lot of fans, especially in the European side of things, were excited about this matchup, disappointed to see Stosic injured there. He's 14-2 overall. He's won 6 straight. and he has some huge wins overseas. I mean, Anton Vyazgin, Viktor Nemkov, Timo Fucht, the German. He's finished all those guys. Those are big wins. This fight's a lot closer than this line suggests. The minus 240 favorite on Ankalaev, and the comeback on the newcomer Farias is plus 180. I'm going to say it here. Farias gets it done. He's the underdog, my underdog pick and my upset pick for the evening. He's going to rocks Ankalaev on the feet and then finish him with a submission. This guy has a lot of submission wins to his name. Very excited to see this guy compete at 205 pounds in the UFC. Big Marcelo, I don't think that's your pick. If I'm guessing.
Wrong guess.
Oh man.
Yeah, he has also a finisher for Johnny Walker. Ankalaev, he's a good fighter. I really like him. I think, man, he's got the most biggest upset loss in his career. I think against Paul Craig in the last second in a fight that he was easily winning by 30-25 or something, I think. And he got caught with an armbar. Great showing against Marcin Prokhnio last time out. I was actually, not happy, but I didn't really mind that we didn't saw Ankalaev against Stosic because I felt the 205 division is already pretty thin, and to get the two prospects against each other so early in their career in the UFC, I don't really like that. So Klidson Farias Abreu, what can you say about him, man? He has so many good names on his record. He finished them with submission, and he can do that as well with Ankalaev. So I'm going with the third round submission for Klidson Abreu Farias. I'm sorry, my man, but we have the same pick here.
Wow, I did not expect that, but hey, it's that makes me feel better that we had the same read on that one. I really like that matchup for Farias, and I'm really excited to see him compete at light heavyweight. That's for sure.
Me too.
All right. Well, we got some ranked bantamweights on deck here. The number 9 ranked former UFC flyweight title challenger, John the Magician Dodson. He takes on the number 15 ranked Piotr Yan. Big Marcel, I will let you start. Just throw that out there. Yan, a minus 270 favorite. Comeback on John Dodson is plus 210.
Yeah, John Dodson. John Dodson hasn't looked great since his transition to bantamweight, in my opinion. He looked some fights he did pretty well, but many split decision as well. Only Manny Gamburian he finished. That's already 3 years ago already, but almost. Peter Yan. What can you say about him, man? He's a big prospect. 3 wins in his young UFC career. 2 stoppages, 1 fight of the night against Jinsu Sun, which was a great fight, I think. If Peter Yan can touch Dodson, he will get it done. But Dodson will probably, like Peter Yan said himself, he will try to not run, but take his distance and try to hit him from the outside and maybe take him to the ground. I don't think that's a smart idea at all, actually. But Peter Yan, unanimous decision in a tough fight because the styles are very different from each other. So Peter Yan, I have to go with him here. I really think he is going to do big things in the UFC, but he has to go through Dodson first, and then he will crack the top 10, and I hope it will happen because, I don't see Dodson making another run at bantamweight. Honestly, he is too inconsistent with his showings, and Peter Yan decision.
Yeah, John Dodson, 34 years old. He's 4-4 in his last 8 alternating wins and losses. Yan seems to be one of the most technically gifted fighters I've seen in a long time, man. He is very crisp. Outstanding start to his UFC career, 3-0, 2 finishes and a fight of the night, like you said, against Shinsu San to go along with it, man. That was a fun one. Dodson is coming off a loss to Jimmy Rivera. However, this matchup just seems like it actually might favor Dodson to me. Guy who does keep his distance. He kind of, picks and moves around. This fight reminds me of the matchup with Pedro Munoz. Munoz just wasn't quick enough to get off and land a lot of those strikes. I know he came back late, came on strong late in the fight, but I think Dodson actually has a good chance to win this fight. He stays around the outside. This may come back to bite me, but I'm going to take Dodson with a split decision here. I don't think he goes along to make a run at 135 pounds by any means, but this could be the first time we see Piotr Jan lose in the UFC. And if not, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'll go ahead and take the upset here. Dodson with a split decision.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you think Dodson won against Munoz?
I did think he won that fight. Yeah.
Okay.
It was close. Yeah.
We think different. Good. Good stuff, man.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say. All right.
No problem. And man, we have to at least something different, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to old cars and let's say we have this though, that one different.
All right. Well, Prague and the O2 Arena will be on their feet for this next fight because their very own Lucy Pudialova, the number 14 ranked women's bantamweight, heads down to 125 pounds. Tough task, though. She takes on the number 6 ranked Liz Carmouche. Carmouche, a minus 130 favorite. The comeback on the home country favorite, Lucy Pudialova, plus 100. Even money pick there. 8-3 overall is Pudialova. She is 2-2 in the UFC, albeit both of her losses are decisions, and they are controversial. Coming off an absolute war with Irene Aldana. Really exciting fight there. Carmouche 12-6 overall. She's 1-1 at 125 pounds. Man, I really enjoy watching both of these competitors fight, and I think we got a really fun matchup on our hands. How about you, Big Marcel?
I think it's a very bad matchup, actually. I really think yeah, I don't think this will be competitive at all, honestly. I think Carmouche will actually smash her. I really don't like this fight, to be honest. I don't understand why they put this on the Prague event, where I think Carmouche is very underrated, in my opinion. Might be even top 3 in that flyweight division. Has a win over Valentina Shevchenko years back.
And a win over Jessica Andrade in the UFC, too.
As well, man. And also the last one where she lost split decision was against Alexis Davis.
Yes.
I think she won that one. So
yeah, I thought she won that fight, too.
Yeah, so that's it. Lucy Pudialova, she's not a bad fighter at all. I really enjoy her fight, but she's coming from bantamweight now to flyweight. And listen, Carmouche is also from bantamweight to flyweight. So, man, Carmouche is so much better on the ground. I think Carmouche will take her down and probably beat her up on the ground. I think TKO by ground and pound in the first round. I really didn't understand when they made this matchup. I think they want to push Pudialova to get her higher in the rankings, but this is not a good fight to make in the front of her own country. I think she really gets smashed in the first round. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a competitive fight, but I really feel that way the moment the fight got announced. That's my opinion.
Well, okay. Well, way to kill the mood there, Big Marcel, for the fans listening in Prague. Pudialova, I think she's improved in the UFC, especially from her debut against it was Akira Corsani's girlfriend. What's it? Lena Landsberg. Yeah. She's really improved since then, and she's an exciting striker on the feet. But I think you hit the nail on the head with Liz Carmouche is very underrated. The Guerrilla, is that her nickname? The Guerrilla. She's got that strength, and I think she gets it done here. We could see a nice exchange on the feet, but Liz Carmouche should be able to get this fight to the ground and control the pace there. I'll say Carmouche will by a unanimous decision, but I agree with you. I think it's a favorable matchup for her, and you kind of would expect them to give Pudialova someone a little bit less established to compete against in her hometown or home crowd, I guess, home country.
100%.
All right. Go up to 205 pounds for this next one. John Vellante taking on Michal Oleksiejczuk. Vellante, king of the split decisions these days. He's had 4 straight, but he's 2-2 in that stretch. Meanwhile, Oleksiejczuk, 12-2-1 or 12-2 overall, 1-0 in the UFC, although it was flipped to a no contest after a failed drug test. Has been out of action since 2017. He has not lost since 2014. John Vellante seems like a guy who may have probably been cut from the roster at this point had he not been such an entertaining personality and in so tight with some of the UFC brass as well as some of the high profile guys within the UFC. But nonetheless, he has wins at 205 pounds. It just doesn't seem like this is a great matchup for him to me. I think Oleksiy Sajak should be far quicker and more agile. They may engage in a slugfest, but man, Vellante just seems to tire out every time in there. Big Marcel, how do you see this one going?
I'm glad you say the last name of the Polish guy. I just say Lord Mikhail always. Much more. That's much more easier. Yeah, man. John Vellante. What can you say about him? Many split decisions, unanimous decisions. Not really a high fight IQ, I think. Always fun to watch. That's true. Oleksiy Sajak. I'm trying. No contest against.
You did it. Yeah.
Awesome. No contest against Khalil Roundtree. He won that fight by split or unanimous decision. I don't really remember. I know he uses wrestling a lot in that one, I think. I'm going with Oleksiy Sajak here. I mean, I don't know, man. It's such a hard fight to say about. You never know which Vellante shows up, man. And Vellante, after the first round, he's always fading. And actually, Oleksiy Sajak had the same problem against Khalil Roundtree, So that makes it even tough. But, man, I hope we see a finish in this one. I'm going with the second round TKO by ground and pound by Lord Mikhail.
Man, I think we only have 2 fights thus far with differing opinions, but I got a feeling this next one on deck will be a little bit flipped here. Number 15 ranked, co-main event time, number 15 ranked heavyweight, Stefan Struve. You're going to have to give the people the proper pronunciation like you told me. He takes on the Brazilian Marcos Rogério de Lima. Peizao a -130 favorite. Even money odds on Struve. Big Marcel, he is your fellow countryman. I will let you kick things off here.
Okay, his pronunciation, Stefan Struve.
Stefan Struve.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Yeah, listen, the thing is with I'm just going to call him Stefan. The thing is with Stefan is that he has so much potential, man, but he can't get it out for some reason. But for this camp, he didn't go to America this time. He stayed at home with his trainers, with Bob Schreiber, Irma Verhoef, where he started actually back to the basics. And yeah, I think that's a good thing because I really don't think his stay at Hard Knocks or Black Stallions has done so much for him. I think I don't think he really got better over there, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm happy he has his camp here. It's like 20 minutes from where he lives, so that's a good thing. Marcos Rogério de Lima, he pretty much impressed me, I had to say, against Adam Wigzorek last time out. It was in New York, I think, first fight that night. It's actually, if I had to pick 5 years ago, I would 100% go for Stefan Struve, But right now, it's just a 50-50 pick. But based on Struve's ground game, his specialty on the ground, he should be able to put Marcos Rogério de Lima away in the first or second round. So I'm taking Struve by first round submission. And that's not because I'm from the Netherlands, but that's really what I think.
Yeah, no, I would think you would pick straight up. I mean, you didn't hesitate to say Lucy Pudialova is going to get smashed in her home country. So I think you're shooting us straight here, Big Marcel. Yeah, so Stefan Struve lost 3 straight. However, he just hasn't seemed to be there mentally in years past. I hate to say it, but a lot of potential, like you said. I think that move to go back to basics, that could probably help him out. Go back to what got you there. He has a great submission game. Obviously he's massive, so he has a really strong, long striking from that standpoint too. I just don't know if he's there mentally yet anymore. I don't know. It it's always a question mark when he gets in there. Pei Zhao, impressive decision win over Adam Vitrick in November. Like you said, he's 2-0 at heavyweight. It seems like his problems have come at light heavyweight when he has to deal with the weight cut. I will take Pei Zhao via unanimous decision, but I would not be surprised if this fight hits the ground and Stefan Struve locks in a triangle and taps him out. But I will take Pei Zhao for my official pick via unanimous decision. All right, it's main event time, folks, and man, we have an absolute barn burner on tap. Light heavyweight division, number 4 ranked Jan Blachowicz is a slight underdog in this one, plus 115. He takes on the number 6 ranked Brazilian Thiago Marreta Santos, the minus 145 favorite. Blachowicz, winner of 4 straight, including that big finish in July over Nikita Krylov. Thiago Marreta Santos, 2-0 at 205. Every time I go on this, I'd say, I don't know how this guy ever made 170 pounds. And he did it on The Ultimate Fighter. He had to do it 4 times in like 6 weeks. I don't know how he did it. This guy's massive. He's won 7 of 8. The lone loss was that knockout to Dave Branch. Although he also had a weight cut at middleweight because he was on standby for the Israel Adesanya Brad Tavares fight last July. So, man, busy Thiago Marreta Santos. Really fun guy to watch, man. He likes to blitz in there, brings that onslaught. I think he could very well get the finish early, no doubt about it. Blachowicz, though, he's as tough as they come, and I don't even recall ever seeing him get finished in the UFC. I don't think he has. And as long as he can survive, I wouldn't be surprised if he can land something technical to that chin of Marreta Santos that's been knocked out before. Really hard to call here. Big Marcel, main event of the evening. Who moves up the ranks at 205?
You're going to let me pick first. That's nasty, man.
No. I'll let you. Jan Blachowicz, knockout, first round, upset. I think he survives the onslaught and then finds the big punch that puts him away. But I would not be surprised at all if Marreta blitzes him and takes him out.
Marreta, upset, first round, knockout.
He's the favorite. That's not an upset.
Nah, okay. But it's maybe an upset for the European people who expect Blachowicz to win, I think.
Yeah. So, plus, he is ranked lower, so it is a rankings upset, too.
Yeah, definitely, man. But I think it will go, or we're going to see that early knockout, or it will go to the later stages. And if it goes to the later stages, I see Blachowicz winning this one. But I'm going with the first round knockout by Thiago Santos. I think he lands something good on him. And it's such a hard fight, man, because Blachowicz can also land something good on him, you know? So that's what you're going for. I'm going for Marreta Santos. But yeah, I'm not sure. And that's maybe the fun thing of this main event, man. I think many people looking forward to it. And yeah, let's see what happens, you know?
Yeah. Does the winner of this fight face the winner of the John Jones-Anthony Smith fight?
That's a good question. What about the Ozdemir against Reyes?
Dominic Reyes, yeah, it's another top contender fight. But you look at it, Ozdemir's lost a title fight already, and he's lost to Anthony Smith, who is competing for the title. But if Dominic Reyes wins that, yeah, maybe he's next. Who knows? Really exciting watch at the top of the division at 205 pounds. It seems like a lot of the classic top 5 guys that were around before, the guys like Alexander Gustafsson and Glover Teixeira, are now starting to fall towards the wayside, and we're seeing an emergence of a lot more top contenders. So keep an eye on 205 pounds. All right, Big Marcel, we got to do our bonuses. Fight of the night. Who's going to get it done?
Fight of the night. That's a difficult one, actually. Let's go main event. First round, but fight of the night.
Hey, the UFC has not shied away from giving one-round slugfest a fight of the night, so that could very well be the case. I'm going to go Polo Reyes, Damir Hadzovic. I think that's going to be a really fun back and forth first round and a half before Polo Reyes puts him away. All right, performance of the night bonuses. I'll take this one to start. Klidson Farias Abreu, UFC debut, getting it done against Magomed Ankalaev at 205 pounds. We got a new contender, a new face, the Brazilian light heavyweight. I think he walks away with 50 Gs. And then Chris Fishgold getting a submission win over Daniel Tamor, his older brother. I will predict he walks away with 50 grand, although it's hard to bet against the main event winner. But you know what? I think one of those guys is gonna be here. Who you got?
I'm going with Klitson as well, and Gorilla, Les Carmouche.
Ooh, interesting pick. Okay. And then our last pick of the evening, the underdog. Are you sticking with Farias or are you going with someone else?
That's probably the biggest upside I have. So, yeah, I have to go with Klitson.
I got to do it too. I can't. I don't know who else I think that's the fight on paper that really sticks out. Maybe next week we'll have something different, but agreed. We'll stick with it for now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Big Marcel. Well, this has been fun. Before we sign off, let the people know where they can find you and all your great content.
You can find me on Big Marcel 24, Twitter, Instagram. Love to interact, like I always say. So if you have something to ask, if you want to talk about something about MMA, hit me up. MMADNA.nl website, also on Facebook and Instagram, and also on Twitter. And yeah, let me also give a shout out to everybody over here. Max Friedman, Trademark MMA, awesome account, awesome guy. Show him some love, man. He's one of the nicest guys in this game. So thank you so much for doing this all the time with me. I really appreciate it. And also all the other guys, Kyle, Keith, Davidson, everybody who was here. If I forgot someone, I'm sorry, but love you all. Thank you so much for the opportunity to do this every time. I love doing this with Max and Eminem. Let's go on, man. Let's go on. Whatever.
I'll tell you what, Big Marcel, the MMA community definitely better off with you in the game, the best social media account out there. And you know what? If you wanted to do this podcast with me and it was 2 a.m. my time, I would laugh in your face and I would be asleep. But look at Big Marcel. He's got a smile on his face every week, and it's 2 a.m. his time. So we really appreciate his flexibility there. 3 a.m. Oh, man. But just to reiterate what he said, we are the Breakdown on the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network. Just a reminder to everyone to make sure you follow iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, whatever works for you. And thank you to all our gracious colleagues over at the Loudmouth MMA Podcast Network. Like you said, Kyle Steele, Keith Schillen. Without either of them, none of this would be possible. The great Davidson Baker, Fred Kirby, that guy's hilarious. Make sure to check out all the great content there. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will be back next week for UFC 235. Can't wait.